This is Elliot here with Coach Andrew Palmer of the women's volleyball team. Coach Palmer, last week you guys went 0-3 against some really good competition over at Wheaton. What were some things that you saw from the team this weekend despite the results that you really liked?
Yeah, I really saw, it was a tougher weekend, some good challenge matches for us, for a good opportunity for us to grow, and push ourselves a little bit. But I saw a lot of resiliency. I saw a lot of adaptation where, for example, the Wheaton game, we lost pretty big in the first set, and we were able to come back in fourth set to go 5. And just that resiliency and the ability to adapt and change what we kind of went in with the game plan, adapt and just take it and run with it. I really saw some good things there to be able to change and deliver on tactics that we didn't necessarily work on all week.
Yeah, and then a couple of freshmen, Ava Quevedo and India Day, both had really good weekends. Ava had 14 total blocks, and India had 27 kills.
Yeah.
What did you see from them that it led them to be able to play at that high of a level this weekend?
Yeah, they've been on the court a lot for us and just getting after it in practice. And it was kind of a coming out party for them a little bit. And, in the Wheaton game alone, Ava was in on 9 blocks, credited with 6 total. I think just that comfortability, at the collegiate level now as a freshman, just, every day in practice. And now you're starting to see it in games.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, you talked about it, with the freshmen, getting them just playing in the game eventually. Yeah. They're doing well already, and that's great to see. But the more they play, the more you'll be able to see them grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, so coming up today, actually, you guys head down to Eureka, and then you guys come back here in River Forest tomorrow against Lake Forest. What are you looking for from the team in these next 2 matches?
Yeah, I mean, I'm continuing to take those steps as a program and continue to get ready for conference, 2 non-conference matchups, but they're very important to us. And a quick road test and then a home test, and then we'll get a little bit of a break before we start conference opponents. So I want to see us continue to develop and grow together and really put it out on the court as a product.
Yeah, and then you talked about it. Conference starts next Wednesday at Rockford. What are you looking for the team leading up to that conference matchup and then into conference as a whole?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a big test. I mean, a road conference game, first one of the year, and so, we don't take that lightly at all. And, the expectation is to make the conference tournament this year, and so it starts with next week and just really continuing to take those steps and, producing at a high level no matter who we're facing.
Yeah, and then you guys had that a few 4 or 5 day break in between your matchup against Lake Forest and Rockford. Yeah. What made it the practices look like? What are you guys going to try and work on in that time to really set yourselves up for success?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to get a quick little break this weekend after these 2 matches. The beginning of the season's pretty crazy with travel and a lot of games right away. So a nice chance to get a little bit of a break, give our bodies a little bit of chance to recover, and then when we get back on the court and to practice, it's going to be about executing at a high level, and it's going to be about just getting after it and working hard every day and what that means.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all for us here on the Cougar Sports Network. Tune in to CUCougars.com to catch all of the upcoming women's volleyball action. This is Elliot signing off. And
Hello, Cougar Nation, and welcome back to River Forest. It's time for some Cougar volleyball right here in Geisman Gymnasium. The Concordia Chicago Cougars taking on the Lake Forest Foresters in their second home game of the season. A lot of road trips this non-conference play for the Cougars, and they finally come back home to River Forest to take on Lake Forest. Both of these teams, bit of a rough non-conference so far. Cougars come into the day 3-6. Lake Forest comes in 1-6, but both of them, they picked up a wins recently. The Cougars coming off of a win over Eureka College last night, 3-1. Lake Forest coming off of a win over Benedictine in the Lake Forest try they played this last weekend. So both of these teams having some positives recently, and they'll look to keep those trending up as we get underway here in River Forest. I'm Jonathan Shearer on the Cougar Sports Network. Joining me today is Dave Dimling. And Dave, as this non-conference season starts to wind to a close, what are you looking for out of your team?
Yeah, Jonathan, I think one of the main things you're looking for is just kind of a surge of momentum. Last night was a great start for both programs, and they're kind of trying to keep it rolling here. And this could be an opportunity to kind of take that big leap forward rather just a small step. Could really catapult you into a great opportunity to go far in NAC play.
Rathel sets that for Hunt, and too much on that one out the back line. First error of the day for the Cougs, first point of the day for Lake Forest, and they'll start on top 1-0 as Lily Robinson drops back to serve. Robinson sends that over. Rathel digs it out. Adler sets for Day, and Day picks up her first kill of day. India Day. That brings her even with Lily Hunt for the season lead on this team in kills. The two of them going back and forth on the attack all year.
Yeah, good swing right there by Day. Expect to see a lot of work out of the freshman. She's been putting up some tremendous numbers so far to start this year. That kill right there ties her for the lead for the program in kills.
And an awkward set from Robinson puts Fry into a tough spot. That's into the net. Cougars 2 points in a row, and Rathel will serve it up again. That's up and over. And it's a poor dig out. Day to Adler, sets for Hunt. Softy, that's dug out by the libero, Almonte. That's pass to Adler. Sets for Cooper, and that's a kill. Harmony Cooper, perfectly placed into the gap.
Beautiful touch by Cooper right there. I think one of the things you're seeing early from Lake Forest is a little bit of lack of communication, just kind of running a little wild. And if the Cougars are able to notice that, it's going to be a tough day for Lake Forest.
Rathel serves it across, set by Robinson. And this time it's the Foresters able to find no man's land on the Cougars' court.
Yeah, just drops it in there, right in the middle of that black hole, nobody home. The Foresters will take advantage of that.
Van Stone with the kill, and now back to serve is Megan Wilson. Wilson tosses it up, sends it across. Brenner to Adler, over to Day. Robinson sets for Dirksen. Here's Dirksen again, blocked and down! Cougars front line comes up big, and they take possession back. And there's our first subs of the day for the Cougars, most notably into the game for CUC, Eva Fitzgerald, the second setter replacing Milena Adler as Fitzgerald sends that across. Robinson has to track it down. Dirksen from mid-range over. Rathel passes it up. Borgunkovis. Dirksen across and over. Too much on it. Cougars pick up another point. It's 5-2 Concordia.
Definitely one of the things you're seeing early is the Foresters trying to set up Dirksen a lot. Send that 6-1, that freshman.
And there's an ace for Eva Fitzgerald. Leads this team in service aces on the year at 23. Make that 24 with that one. It's 6-2 Cougs. And that is a poor reception from Margaret Almonte. Just didn't react quick enough. Turns, and it's off her back and down. Another ace back-to-back for Fitzgerald.
Yeah, and Coach Hughes makes a quick change right there, going to a different libero.
Fitzgerald glancing off the net. Robinson sets up Van Stone. Too much on it. It's out. Point Cougs. The Cougars on a run. 5 points straight. It's 8-2.
Don't be surprised if the Foresters take a timeout soon after this good run so far by the Cougars.
Fitzgerald wide right. And the run will end on a service error. You'll take a 5-1 trade off as Lake Forest will make their second sub of the day, excluding the libero changes. Into the game to serve it up is Maddie Smith. That's cross, Rathel to Fitzgerald, setting Day! Powers it through the front line block from Dirksen. And it's another kill and another point for the Cougs.
I mean, Day's really setting herself up to have a fantastic day if this trend continues. Foresters are going to have to find an answer for her. This temporary answer is she's in the back row now.
Day serves it up, and that's an ace for India Day. Diving save from Smith is into the bleachers. And it's 10-3 Cougs, already at double digits, and they have taken a big lead early. Day gets it up, and miscommunication on the reception. Kevrich collides with Wilson. It's another ace for Day, and that's going to be our first timeout from Coach Hughes. And Dave, I'd say that's a timeout that's been long due.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Lake Forest finds themselves in an 8-point hole early here in River Forest. Cougars out front quickly, and most notably, this is a team that's already up to 4 service aces in the game through just 11 points.
Yeah, a few of those are compliments of great serves, but then some of the other ones are just sheer lack of communication or maybe even lack of focus overall. A couple of those were attacks on the Foresters libero, and they were able to take advantage of it, and that's a tough sign if you're the Foresters. If you're not confident in your libero on serve receive, it's going to be a long day.
Lake Forest, this is a team that makes a lot of errors. 158 on the year so far. 60 of those are reception errors. This is a team that struggles in that part of their game. Cougars exploiting that so far. As Day drops back for the serve, Lake Forest heads back out onto the court, and they'll get ready to go. Day serves it up and over the head of Wilson out the back line. That run will end on a service error, so Lake Forest catches a break. They'll take possession back.
Yeah, productive timeout right there from Coach Hughes. Sometimes that's all you're looking for. The smallest bit of momentum right there could really kickstart this Foresters team.
It's Lake Forest, chance to work it from their own end. Satina back to serve. It's over. Rathel receives. Fitzgerald sets it up for Foster. Slams that down. And Cougs right back on their side of the court.
Yeah, truly no answer whatsoever for anybody standing on that far side swinging.
Just no front line presence on the right side to try and put some pressure on Foster. Now Cooper will serve it across. Received by Wilson. That's set up for Oshanika, and that is blocked and down. Combo of Foster and the freshman Ava Cavado. Another point for the Cougs. It's up to a 9-point lead now. Cooper continues the serve. Satina passes that up for Van Stone. Pushed straight back across by Day. Pass over to Van Stone, received by Cooper. Fitzgerald setting up Foster from the far side. Oshanika just pushes it across. Here's Foster. And that is out the back line. Tipped, and another kill for Neva Foster.
Yeah, you're starting to see a little bit more out of the Foresters side. As far as the defense goes, there's quite a few times when they're just kind of out of place, not quite in the right spots, and Cougars have been taking advantage of it clearly by that 14-4 lead they have.
Cooper serves it up. Satina sets for Oshanika. That's out the far side. Point Cougs. And as much as the Cougars have been playing well, Lake Forest, they're not putting up much of a fight right now either.
Exactly. It's hard to see anything too much out of the Cougars right now when they're just kind of taking whatever the Foresters are willing to give them, and right now they're willing to give them a lot.
Cooper continues her serve. It's over. Satina sets that for Van Stone. A floater blocks down, and another one for the Cougs. That's Goncalves and Cavado on that block. Makes it a 12-point game for Concordia.
Yeah, sometimes the best offense is a good defense, and that front line is really holding strong so far for the Cougars.
Cooper over. Satina sets it for Van Stone. Another floater, another block! Deja vu, back-to-back, Goncalves and Cavado. And we got a sub from Lake Forest. Coach Melanie Hughes is trying to switch things up, find something that can work. The Cougars going on yet another run. They lead by 13, and they still have possession. Cooper into the net. And that error is going to let Lake Forest catch a break. There's still a lot of ground to cover in this first set.
The situation the Foresters are finding themselves in right now, it might be too much to come back from, but at the end of the day, you got to try and find some kind of momentum to catapult yourself for the future sets.
Van Stone into the net. There's a service error. Send it right back over to the Cougars. That is a point of their game that Lake Forest has struggled with this year. 53 service errors to just 32 aces. They're not efficient from the service line. You see that there as they get an opportunity and send it right back to Concordia. Adler across. That's set up for Wilson. Blocked right back over. Satina just passing it over. Day to Adler, setting Foster. That's off the knee of Satina. Able to get it over is Lake Forest. Foster again, blocked. Cougs keep it up. Adler gets it over. Here's Wilson, and that's gonna get down. Megan Wilson picks up the kill, just the second kill of the set for Lake Forest. And they show some fight in that rally as Margaret Almonte heads back to serve. Almonte over, Foster receives, Adler, she'll set that up for Cavado. Straight back to Hunt, who brings down the hammer. Deflected out of bounds off Van Stone. It's back to a 13-point lead, Concordia.
Yeah, just another one of those costly mistakes right there for the Foresters. Sending a free ball back over that close to the net is not going to work against this front line that the Cougars have been showcasing today.
That's set up for Smith. And she picks that one up. So Lake Forest, last couple of points, showing some fight. And, I mean, we kind of alluded to it a bit earlier. A lot better than what they were showing through those first 15 points of the set. But there's another service error, and there's more of those mistakes that we've been seeing from Lake Forest. You see a little glimpse of light, and then another mistake sends it right back over to Concordia. That sends the Cougs to 20 points, and they're just 5 points away from taking set number one.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the issues that you're seeing out of this Lake Forest team so far tonight is just not being able to control the controllables, to say the least.
And there's one of those controllables. That shot from Sadie Fry airmailed all the way to the back wall.
Yeah, just one of those things. I mean, you can definitely control what you're doing from behind that service line, just trying to keep it inside the lines and over the net, but they've kind of been struggling with that so far in this set as one of the many flaws so far.
Soft set for Wilson. Adler sets up Day. Blocks down. Day keeps it up, and it's into the bleachers. Nice block from the Foresters, their first of the day. And they'll take possession back. It's Megan Wilson back to serve for Lake Forest. Wilson from the service line. 2 service aces to 12 service errors. She's had it rough this year, but she gets that one over. Adler sets up Brenner. Almonte passing that over to Dirksen, who just has to send it across. Now Adler sets up Day, a tapper. Almonte over to Dirksen, and that's gonna get down at the back wall. Rio Dirksen finally able to get a big shot off, and that's someone that Lake Forest has to be hoping can get more involved in this game. That's really the biggest advantage they have is the 6'1" Rio Dirksen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that you're seeing, too, is that there's a tail for each side of the net. Right now, you have to be thinking, if you're Lake Forest, just try and gather some momentum, find something that's going to work later in this match. And then on the other side, if you're CUC, you got to be thinking, you got to step on their throats, finish the set, don't give them any hope. Let them know it's going to be like that all day.
Dirksen's shot blocked, sent right back over to the Cougs. Adler, soft set for Cooper, but she gets the floater. Lake Forest can't communicate. Again, you want to make the opposition earn it, and the Cougars are playing well, but Lake Forest, like you said, Dave, they're giving the Cougars a lot right now. 3 points to go for Concordia. They've got a 13-point lead. Robinson sets for Van Stone. It's another block, this time from Cooper. And the Cougars 2 points away now. Fitzgerald with the serve. Robinson sets up Dirksen. There's the hammer. Another one for the freshman. That does get Lake Forest to 10. And they will crack double digits in set number 1.
Yeah, he definitely cannot teach height. But that was a beautiful swing right there.
Back serve is Smith. It's up and over. Day to Fitzgerald. Cooper gets it over. Now Robinson sets that for Van Stone to the back corner. Poor reception from Rathel. And that'll get down. It's a kill for Iowa and Van Stone. 2 in a row for the Foresters. Maddie Smith will continue with the serve. She'll put it up and across. Rathel to Fitzgerald. Sets Cooper. Another tapper. Forrest can keep that one up. Here's Van Stone. Blocked at the line. Robinson sets Dirksen. A tote tapper. Rathel keeps it up. Now Day. A floater. That one finds Pater. Cougars float their way to the kill. And they are at, it is set point, 24-11, Cougs 1 point away.
I mean, that's really been working for both sides, to be honest. Any kind of soft swings are just really catching that second line off guard.
Day sends it across. Robinson sets Dirksen into the net. Now Robinson over to Wilson. It's out the back line. Point Cougars, and Concordia takes set number 1, 25-11. A dominant opening set from Concordia Chicago as they get things back underway in River Forest. We move on to set number 2. The Cougs look to continue the pace. Lake Forest, they'll try and figure out what's going on and get things back on the right track when we come back on the Cougar Sports Network. And welcome back to Geisman Gymnasium here on the Cougar Sports Network. We're back for set number 2 between the Cougars and the Foresters as Lake Forest gets it underway. Iffy reception. Cougars get it across, though. And it's a double touch tagged on Lily Hunt on the awkward play. So Lake Forest, they get out front first again. They started last set 1-0. Didn't go their way. And a service error from Lily Robinson keeps it going the same way as set number 1. We're even 1-1. Cougars a dominant set 1 victory, 25-11. And now they're back even here in set number 2 as Rathel sends it across. Almonte to Robinson. Here's Van Soen from the back line. Miscommunication from the Cougars. Give a freebie to the Foresters, and it's 2-1 Lake Forest. And that looks a lot like what we saw out of Lake Forest in the first set today. I mean, the Cougars, they're not playing poorly right now. You look at the stat sheet, so it's not an outstanding game that you would expect for an offensive win. Only 8 kills in that first set, a 250 hitting percentage. Good, not great. You go over to Lake Forest, Dave, and you kind of see where that blowout came from.
Absolutely. They're just kind of making all the mistakes, but they're doing a lot better in this set. Obviously, we're only 4 points into the set, but so far, all good things coming with the team in red in set 2, though.
And you can tell, like, at this point already, probably had 2 errors from Lake Forest. 11 errors in total in set number 1 out of Lake Forest. Numbers you don't like to see. And they've cleaned it up a bit to start set number 2. Hunt slams that down, and that knocks Almonte onto the floor. Lily Hunt brings it back to Concordia. And Eva Fitzgerald will head back for the serve. Fitzgerald just over the line. That'll go to Lake Forest. Service error for the setter. And the Foresters will take possession back. It's 4-2 Lake Forest. This set, much stronger start. Maddie Smith back for the serve. And she'll toss it up, send it over. Rathel to Fitzgerald. Setting Cooper. Underhand floater. That's passed up for Dirksen into the net. And the point goes over to the Cougars. Look at Rio Dirksen's year. 53 kilos, 26 errors, 189 hitting percentage coming into the night. Not a bad numbers, kind of the numbers you would expect to see out of a freshman. Like you mentioned earlier, though, Dave, her biggest strength, something you can't teach, that's height, and that is an advantage against this Cougars lineup. Well, the Cougars making do without it. Cooper and Goncalves get up and send that right back down. Oshanika can't keep it up, and it's back over to the Cougs, and we're even 4-4.
Foresters are going to have to start finding an alternative to slamming at the net. They're going to have to find a healthy balance. That way they can keep that Cougar defense offline.
And that is just out the back line from Goncalves. So another error from Concordia sends it back over to Lake Forest. It's 5-4 Foresters. And you can kind of see a little bit of that trend. Cougars a little bit sloppier to start the set. Lake Forest, they've cleaned it up a good bit.
It could be just a little bit of that first set victory hangover, but you got to realize they're going to have to rein it in real quick now.
That's over. Fitzgerald passes that to Foster, who just slaps it across. This one's set for Wilson. Rathel can't save it. Megan Wilson slams it over, picks up another kill, and it's 6-4 Lake Forest. Sometimes it really is just that much. You have one bad set, and you're right back to the way you want to be playing. Foster to Fitzgerald, over to Goncalves. That's kept up. And pass over to Evans. And a net violation tagged on Concordia Chicago. That'll go as an error, point over to Lake Forest, and they have a 3-point lead, 7-4, their largest of the day. Up and over from Satina. Poor reception, gives the freebie to Simisola Oshinika. And it's a 4-point lead for Lake Forest, and really just is that way sometimes. It's all about errors and how clean can you play. Right now the Cougars, they're not playing clean. Lake Forest is. Another poor reception from Foster and another freebie for Lake Forest. And there you go, Dave. You're calling it. That's that timeout.
Yeah, absolutely. You just kind of see it a little bit too much momentum for Lake Forest. Coach Palmer seeing what's going on and just giving his team a little brief cool down, give themselves a chance to recover. Sometimes it's just a breath is all you need. The game speeds up naturally. It's just part of it. You give your team just a chance to cool down, talk it over, maybe a couple giggles. It's all it takes to kind of relax and get back in the game.
That's what Coach Foster's doing, having a chat with his assistants. Then he heads into the huddle to talk it over with his team, try and just give them a chance to clean up the mistakes, get back to the way they're playing in the first half. But then over to Lake Forest's credit, this is a much cleaner second set.
Absolutely. Coach Hughes looks to have reined in that Lake Forest offense and defense overall. Just kind of maybe that one set was all it took to just let them know, hey, CUC is here to play as well. We got to play our game and refocus back in, and that's exactly what they did. It really felt when they hopped off the bus, they started it down 10-0 to start that first set, though.
And the Cougs, they get a break. Service error from Taya Satina. And it's back over to Concordia. That's what you want out of a timeout. Get the free point. And now Harmony Cooper will head back to serve for Concordia. Cooper will toss it up, send it over. And out. Cougs get a break, then commit the error. And it's back over to Lake Forest. They crack double digits with a 5-point lead, 10-5. Wilson sends it across. Rathel sets up Foster. Too much on it. It's out the back line. It's a freebie for Lake Forest. 11-5 Foresters. Wilson over. Foster. Fitzgerald's able to get there. Foster again. Almonte's able to be there. Satana all the way across to Van Stone, and she gets it down, finds a gap in the Cougar defense, and Lake Forest is on a roll, 3 straight.
I mean, Lake Forest has truly come alive in this second set. It really feels like there's no stopping them right now.
Wilson across, Day to Fitzgerald. Cavato blocked to the line. Fitzgerald again, Foster. Satana over to Almonte. Van Stone. Now Fitzgerald sets up for Day from the back line. Blocked down by Oshanika. And it's an 8-point gap now. Coach Palmer has to call another timeout. His team continuing to slide.
Yeah, some people will disagree with the timeout right there because they just burned their last timeout. It's only 13-5, but at the same point, there's no reason to take it home with you when you're down 18-5. Might as well use it right now while you're still in the set. Try to give the team, as similarly to their last time out, a breather. Really let them focus in. Give your captains, your leaders a chance to kind of rein in the 6 on the court. Let them know that we're still in this contest. You got to kind of remind the team that based on that first set, how much better you truly are. And sometimes it's cockiness, sometimes it's a little confidence, or a little bit of both. That's truly what you need sometimes when you're out on the floor.
Yeah, and you mentioned it's all confidence and all kind of mentality, and that's really what it is. Whether you saw a Cougars team that could play clean in set number 1, now they're playing sloppy. Some of that comes from you have a good set, and this goes for any sport. Have a good inning, a good quarter, and you go into the next one. It's, I've got to keep playing good, and you start pressing a bit more to play good. You start hitting harder, start trying to make trickier plays. And right now it's not working out for the Cougars, so it's got to go back to basics, clean it up a bit, and try and start clawing back into this one.
Absolutely.
Fitzgerald sets up Foster. Van Stone receives. Satina over, good save from Fitzgerald. Day just gets it across. Satina over to Van Stone. Kicks it up. Rathel passing over to Goncalves, finds the gap. And that is a clean point from the Cougars. That's what you're looking for out of the timeout. And now take possession back. Elena Adler heads back for the serve.
And then one of the benefits as well of winning that point is you're able to bring in some true veteran presence with Lily Hunt subbing back in.
Rathel receives. Hunt keeps it up, but it's passed back. And that'll go straight back over to Lake Forest. Bethany Rathel having a tough time on the receiving end so far in set number 2. Margaret Almonte sends it up. Foster to Adler. Sets up Foster. A floater. It's down. Perfectly placed from Neva Foster. And it's back over to the Cougars. These two squads trading points. It's Rosemary Brenner back for the serve. She's back into the match. Up and over. And it's going to be a freebie over to the Cougars, a rotation error tagged on Lake Forest.
Those are just some of those controllables when obviously you have a quality lead, so they don't bite you as much right now, but you never know in this set, some of those can come back to haunt you.
Almonte, poor reception and down. And Lake Forest, just a rough couple of points. You see Coach Hughes. She was having to coach onto her team again and again and again to get in the right rotational spot. Taya Satina looking a bit lost before the point. And the Cougs back within 5. Brenner over. Poor reception. Adler to Rathel. Passes over to Hunt. And that's a poor reception from Satina into the bleachers. Point Cougs. Make it 4 in a row for Concordia, and that's the productive possession out of a timeout you're looking for.
Absolutely, Jonathan. And that's one of the things that you're starting to see, too. A little bit more confidence creeping into CUC, and then you notice some of the off and ons, the energy for Lake Forest.
Blocked down! Cavado and Hunt get up and bring it to the floor. 5 in a row for Concordia, and Coach Hughes wants to stop the bleeding. She calls her first timeout of the set. I like that timeout. You still got a bit of a lead. You've got 2 timeouts. Why not use one right now to try and keep the gap big?
Absolutely. You're still working with a 3-point lead. Just got to remind everybody what we did earlier in the set was working. Just get back to it. Remain confident. Kind of the same approach on both sides. Confidence really is that main driving factor.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of talking about like the Cougars, it's a confidence thing. You start pressing a little bit. You start trying to do a bit too much. It kind of looks like Lake Forest is in that position now, too, coming out of that second Cougars timeout. You start doing a bit too much to hold the lead. You start pressing a bit much, and it causes more mistakes. Again, to the Cougars' credit, they're playing cleaner. They're making smarter plays. They're making more clean plays. They're not trying to do too much with the ball. And it's brought them back within 3 as Rosemary Brenner tries to continue a 5-point run here. Cougars trailing by 3, 11-14. Brenner across, Wilson to Satina, sets up Van Stone. Rathel can't receive cleanly, and Ireland Van Stone brings it back over to her squad. And again, sometimes that's all you need, Dave. Just get that clean possession on offense to get the clean kill shot. Robinson across. Adler sets up Hunt. Into the block. Brenner keeps it up. Adler passing for Day. Punches it over. Rathel keeps it up. Cougars staying alive. Hunt just passes it over. Robinson sets up Dirksen. There's the hammer. And it's back over to Lake Forest.
Yeah, truly just a massive sledgehammer right there. Just kind of nailing down any chance of that point extending onward.
Forest are struggling to do it consistently, but that's the goal. Set up Dirksen, give her those clean shots. Day receives, Adler keeps it over. Miscommunication between Adler and Quevedo. Quevedo's up early, and it's a 3-point run back to a 6-point gap.
Yeah, I think that's one of those opportunities, for the setter to just kind of dunk one over, catch the defense off guard. Haven't seen it out of either team's setters yet this match.
Day tries to slam it. Almonte setting up Dirksen. Too much on it to the side. It's over the line and out. Cooper comes back into the match. Rathel will set back to serve for Concordia. Sends it over. Wilson receives. Robinson dumped off, and that's the kill. That's exactly what you wanted, Dave.
I mean, I know we're only about 30 feet away, but there's no way they heard me, right, Jonathan?
Sure seems like Lily Robinson did. I mean, that's exactly why you do that. Defense isn't expecting it. And Lake Forest kills any momentum the Cougar had on that possession. It's back to 6. Adler passing up for Day. Here comes Robinson over to Wilson. Into the net. Point Cougs. Back and forth as Lake Forest can't do anything off of that possession. They slowly creep closer to 20 Cougars. 5 away as Eva Fitzgerald comes into the game to serve. It's an ace! Eva Fitzgerald, her 3rd of the game. Almonte can't get down to bring it up. Fitzgerald sends it into the net. Service ace to service error. And Lake Forest will take it back. We're trading points. Back and forth, then 2, and then right back over. Smith across. Brenner receives. Fitzgerald passing over to Goncalves. Tries to find the gap. And Lake Forest can't get it back over cleanly. That is a perfectly placed shot. Force the opposition to make a play, and Lake Forest can't.
Sometimes the best thing to do is just hit it where they ain't. Executed to perfection on that one.
That's what you do when you try to not do too much. Take what's given to you. And the Cougars back within 4. Oshanika over. Now Rathel sets up Foster. Hammer. Robinson sets back for Van Stone. Day passing for Foster again. Light shot deflected, still up. Lake Forest able to keep that one up. Foster again, a floater. Wilson, Robinson. Slammed across by Sekulic, can't get it down. Day from the back row. Now Smith passing all the way over, and it's 3. Lake Forest finally cracks as those two teams play a clean set, and the Cougars come out on top. They're back within 3. That is just some great defense on both ends of the ball there.
Absolutely. Probably one of the better points that we've seen so far tonight.
Day over the net and across. Smith receives. Wilson sets up Sekulic. Now Fitzgerald setting for Cooper. Point over to Lake Forest. Cooper just can't get it down enough, trying to play it over the block. And it's back over to Lake Forest. They crack 20. It's 20-16. Foresters fight back and make this a competitive set. Satina over, poor reception from Rathel. Cougs able to keep it up. Dumped over by Fitzgerald. Satina sets up Oshanika. Fitzgerald can't keep it up. Back to a 5-point match. It's 21-16 Lake Forest.
Yeah, if CUC wants to find a way back into this set, they're going to have to do it quick.
Satina over, Rathel receives. Here's Foster, tries to go hard. She'll keep it up. Cooper, Wraithel just has to push it over. Satana sets up Wilson. Day's up. Day gets it over. The Cougs stay alive. Dump off from Satina. Wraithel keeps it up. Oceanica puts it down.
Yeah, the Cougs were just kind of scraping and clawing away to try and stay in that point the whole time, and it finally just got shut down right there.
6-point lead for Lake Forest. Fitzgerald sets for Day, just has to tap it. Satina sets Oceanica into the net and down. Cougs get their break. It's Point Concordia. And we'll get a couple of subs. Cavado into the match. Livesey into the game for the first time tonight as she'll head back to serve. Serves up and over. Satana setting for Oceanica, has to run over to it. Livesey to Fitzgerald. Foster, hammer on the line. Point Cougs. Can't place that better. Coach Hughes does not like the call. And she goes over to have a chat with the official. She's pointing to the center judge saying he called it out. The center judge defaults to the near side corner judge, who says it was in. Serves over, Satina sets up Wilson, and that's down. Perfectly placed shot as a response. It's back to a 5-point game, 23-18.
Yeah, really beautiful cross-court swing right there, and you got to assume you're hearing a couple of murmurs from Lake Forest saying ball don't lie on that one.
2 points away. Wilson back to serve. Went on a big run her last time at the line. Day receives. That set up for Goncalves. Cavado can't keep it up. It's set point for Lake Forest. Wilson over. Day, Fitzgerald, Goncalves, down. Satina gets it up, but can't get out of the way of Wilson. And the Cougars will take it back. The Cougars have a chance to go on a run. They'll need 5 to even it up and force extra volleyball.
I think the goal right now is you can't think about 5 in a row. You just got to think about one at a time.
Adler, an ace. Well, there's one at a time, Dave.
Absolutely. That's the first one right there. Can't think now 2 in a row. Just keep thinking one more. It starts with one more right here.
Melena Adler, one of the best servers on this squad, puts it over. Smith to Satina, sets Oceanica. It's out. Cougars keep it going. That's another one. 21-24, trail by 3 as Adler heads back to the line. Adler gets it over. Smith. Satina just puts it up for Van Stone. Blocks down. Oceanica keeps it up. Foster to Adler. Sets Foster. Finds the open space. Slides it past the block. Point Cougars. Timeout from Coach Hughes. She doesn't like the bleeding as Concordia is back within 2 for the first time since 4-2.
Just like that, they're back in it. You can feel that doubt starting to creep up for Lake Forest right now. Great idea by Coach Hughes to take a timeout right there. Whether it's about technique or if it's about just calming them down, either way, she knows what she's doing, and that's the right play right there.
Cougars have the momentum from Melena Adler right now.
And we'll see if it's a productive icing by Coach Hughes.
So far, every timeout in this set has resulted in a point for the team that called it. Coug's going to have to break that streak. Adler bounces it, puts it up, gets it over. And all the way over. You never want it to end on a service error, and that's how it does end. 25-22, Lake Forest comes back from an awful first set to take set number 2 with a score of 25-22, and they flip this game right on its head. We're back even 1 set apiece. As we head to set 3, these two squads will switch sides, take a break. We'll do the same here on the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a couple minutes for set number 3. Welcome back to Geisman Gymnasium here on the Cougar Sports Network. It's the Cougars and the Foresters knotted up at 1 set apiece as we get ready to go in set number 3. Concordia Chicago will start with the serve. Picked up a dominant set 1 victory, 25-11. Lake Forest, they cleaned it up. They fixed their problems. They came back and take set number 2, 25-22. And now Rosemary Brenner will serve it up to get things going for Concordia. Robinson sets that up. Now Adler looking for Hunt. The hammer just over the back line. Maybe an inch. And it's the point over to Lake Forest.
Definitely a close one right there. Some people are on that student section over there might argue that was on the line.
Almonte keeps it up. Van Stone, way too much sauce on that. And it goes over to the Cougs. 1 point apiece. Same way every set started so far today. Lake Forest, then Cougars. Rathel heads back to serve it up. And she'll put it up. Over. Wilson to Robinson. Sets up Van Stone from the right side. Too much sauce again. And the Cougs take a 2-1 lead. Strong start for Concordia, not really making any mistakes. Ireland Van Stone leads both of these teams so far with 5 kills coming into the set. 2 straight errors, however. Robinson sets that back up. Deflected at the line by Cooper, and the point goes over to Lake Forest. Just off the fingertips, and the Foresters catch a break. Van Stone will serve it again. Brenner to Adler, sets up Day. How about that hammer? Knocks Almonte down. India Day finally gets back on the board. And the Cougs take that 3-2 lead. Back and forth to start the set.
Yeah, another strong swing right there from Day. Maybe the true difference is just what side of the net are they on. That could be all it is.
Van Stone to Robinson, sets up Dirksen. It's a poor set. Rathel passes that up for Goncalves. Robinson, a dump off. Rathel keeps it up. Brenner passing over to Day, who just passes it over. As play gets stopped, Eva Fitzgerald down on the floor. Still not up, as Coach Palmer's out to check on her, trainer out to check on her as well. We get a stoppage of play. Cougs lead 3-2 early on in set number 3. As these two teams get a chance to take their breath. Fitzgerald's up and over to the sideline. So Coach Palmer going to have to make some changes, and losing Fitzgerald makes a big hit to your formation. You run a 6-2, and then you lose one of your setters. So the Cougars, they'll put Lily Hunt into the game. And so this is a Cougar lineup without a traditional setter. No rostered setter on the court right now for Concordia Chicago. Rathel, they tried her out at setter a bit last year as the Cougars worked their way through a season with only one setter in Milena Adler, and they tried to make a 6-2 work. Rathel is someone they tried out there for that.
Yeah, Adler and a couple other listed setters, but
the problem is the rotation.
Of course.
That's where the Cougars are stuck on right now, because your setter would be on the front line, is on the back line right now. That's blocked and out off of Cooper. Point over to Lake Forest. It's back even at 3. But yeah, you're in that rotational problem because you can't put Adler in right now. Her rotation spot is on the front line right now. And you might not trust any of your other setters yet. They're all young. They're all freshmen. So you're going to go to one of your best players and Hunt, give her a chance. And so far, the Cougars not showing any impact from that. Haven't had a chance to, as there's a service error from Lake Forest. Back to a 1-point lead for Concordia. Haven't had a single consecutive point scored for either of these squads since this set's begun. 4-3 lead for Concordia. India Day back to serve. Gets it over, and it's just out. Point over to Lake Forest. The side judge took a hot minute to make his call. Coach Palmer doesn't like that. And the point goes to Lake Forest.
Yeah, we'll see if Lake Forest is able to take advantage of the opportunity they have right now in front of them. The CUC not repping a setter at the moment.
Back to serve for Lake Forest is Satina. Day over to Goncalves. And actually, I can't believe I actually didn't miss that. Beatriz Goncalves is rostered as a setter. The Cougars haven't had to use her in that position all year, but they've got her out on the court. They'll use her there now. Foster receives. Goncalves chases it down. Foster passes it over. Wilson from the near side slams that one. Rathel sends it over. Goncalves passing to Rathel. Passing over to Foster. Tipped up. Wilson. Satina. Set Sekulic. Foster keeps it up. Goncalves Sets Day. Perfectly placed. Deflected by Smith and out. Point Cougars. We're back even at 5. Cougs fight to stay alive. And back to serve is Harmony Cooper. Cooper will toss it up and send it over. Satina sets up Wilson. That's out of bounds. Too much sauce on it. She tries to go coast to coast. And the Cougs take that 1-point lead back, 6-5. Harmony Cooper back for the serve. Up and over. Received. Set for Van Stone from the back line. Hunt keeps it up. From Calves over to Foster. Hammer! Van Stone can't receive cleanly. Point Concordia. And for the first time in set number 3, a team has a multi-point lead. It's 7-5 Cougars.
Yeah, it looked like it took CUC a couple points to kind of catch their bearings after the downfall of Fitzgerald right there, but it seems like now they might be starting to get a little bit of a roll going here.
Cooper continuing her serve. Over. Van Stone. Satina sets up Wilson. Tapper kept up by Hunt. How about that pancake? And Oshanika gets the freebie and puts it down. She's been there for all of those. So the nice poi comes to nothing for Concordia. It's back to a 1-point game, 7-6 as Wilson goes back to serve. Poor reception from Day. It's an ace for Lake Forest as they bring it back even at 7. Day to Goncalves, sets up Quevedo. Oshanika can't block it cleanly. It's down. Point Cougars as Adler comes back into the game, and she'll head back to serve.
Yeah, a little awkward swing there by Quevedo, but able to make do with it and get the kill.
Adler over, and 2 over. It's out the back line. Service error, Point Lake Forest. It's back to a 8-8 game. Back to serve is Margaret Almonte. Straight into the net. Point Concordia. Almonte has had a rough night on the court for Lake Forest. And it's back over to the Cougars. Almonte receives. Van Stone has to just pass that over. Brenner to Adler. Here's Day. Slaps it across. Satina sets up Sekulic. The block is out of bounds. Point Lake Forest. We're even at 9.
Yeah, good swing by the southpaw right there. Just kind of using the blockers to her advantage and taking care of business.
Got to play those angles on the front lines. Kulich does it beautifully. And now Lily Robinson will head back to serve. Over. Day receives. Adler runs over. Sets that up for Day. Robinson sets Dirksen. Blocked out of bounds again. Point Lake Forest.
The CUC starting to get in a little bit taken advantage of on those angles. Gonna have to try and redirect those towards the middle of the court.
Forrester's back in front. Day! How about that? A bad reception gets you a kill. As India Day just passes it over unintentionally and no one on Lake Forest moves to it.
Yeah, it really looks like Lake Forest is anticipating 3 hits every single time. And the few times that the CUC's gone with 1 or 2, it's truly affected the Foresters.
Raythel receives. Brenner passing for Day. Blocked at the net. And they'll tag 4 points, 4 hits on the Cougars. They'll say it was off the net, not the block. And that point goes to Lake Forest. Ireland Van Stone heads back to serve. That's up. Rathel to Adler, sets Livesey. Van Stone receives. Robinson setting Wilson, blocked. Hunt right back over. Now show Hunt Dirksen. Over and out. And the back corner judge makes the call that it was tipped by the Cougars. They're hearing it from the student section now.
Yeah, definitely a lot of emotion from the Concordia faithful after that one.
Van Stone across. Adler sets Hunt. Through the block! Just powers it through! And the student section loves that. We were talking about that during one of the breaks, Dave. This is a bigger student section than we expected to see tonight, and you can kind of owe that to, this is a Concordia student body that's been starved of some volleyball. A lot of road games to start this season. We're 4 weeks into the year and only the second home game for the Cougars.
Absolutely. Everybody wants some Thursday night volleyball.
And the Cougars, they're rewarding them for it. They even it back up at 12.
Yeah, those first 2 sets were a little different. CUC was strongly in control of that first one. Lake Forest not as in control of the second one, but you could argue that they had that one pretty handedly the whole time. And in this third set, no one's truly taken control of it just yet. Still waiting to see if somebody wants it bad enough.
Too much sauce from Wilson. The Cougars respond to the 3-point run from the Foresters with a 3-point run of their own. Hunt continues her serve. Up and over. Almonte sets that forward. Robinson setting Dirksen. And Dirksen just whiffs. Gets it off the wrist into the net, and that's a timeout from Melanie Hughes. Wants to stop the bleeding. The Cougars are hot. 4 in a row. Now take a break on the court. We'll take a break here on the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a minute. Guys. And we're back in Geisman Gymnasium. Hunt serves it across. Almonte to Robinson. Here's Wilson. Tipped. Brenner gets it up. Rathel passes that for Hunt, who just passes over. Robinson will set Dirksen. That's down. Rio Dirksen slams it over. And Lake Forest gets what they want out of the timeout. It's 13-14 now.
Yeah, when in doubt, if you need a point, just burn a timeout. That's been the method so far tonight for both parties.
Maddie Smith back to serve. Smith straight into the net, and the Cougars catch a break. Rachel Livesey will head back to serve for Concordia. Serving with a 2-point lead behind her as she gets that over. Wilson to Robinson, sets Wilson. Blocked at the line and down! Cooper and Goncalves get up, and it's a 3-point lead, largest of the set.
Yeah, that's one of the things that they've been missing a little bit, but great to see it back now.
Livesey sends that across. Robinson sets Dirksen. Blocked and out of bounds. The right side for Lake Forest has started selling out on the angles, and the Cougars blockers have yet to adapt.
Yeah, it truly is a game of adjustments overall, and right now that front line is struggling to adjust a little bit over there.
Taya Satina back for the serve. Over. Poor reception from Foster, and it's an ace. (15-16) game. Lake Forest back within one. Foster, iffy reception. Cooper keeps it up. Miscommunication between Hunt and Livesey. It's another point for Lake Forest as the Cougars have back-to-back poor receptions.
Yeah, definitely a little uncharacteristic right there from the two upperclassmen, but you got to assume they're going to adjust now. Tied 16-16.
Rathel, iffy reception. Hunt passes it forward. Foster just sends it over. Satina sets Oshinika. Hunt can't receive cleanly. It's 4 in a row for Lake Forest. They're back in front, 17-16. Satana will continue her serve. Over. Rathel receives. And Goncalves, that's Livesey. Just off the outside edge. Point Foresters, and Coach Palmer will call his first time out of the set. It's game and runs, and the Cougars sliding right now. 5 points in a row for Lake Forest.
Probably a smart timeout right there from Coach Palmer. Can't let it get too far out of reach. 2 points is just enough to where it's manageable and can easily be swayed, of course, with that free point that they expect to receive from this timeout.
Yeah, you go back to last year with Cougar volleyball, something that team struggled with was serve receive. They struggled on that part of the game, and that's kind of what's kind of bit the Cougars bad in this last 5-point slide is that serve receive. You're not able to set up the good possession because your receptions they're backwards, they're sideways, your setter's having to run over and just slap it up, and you're not able to get the attacks you want. The Cougars have got to clean that up if they want to take this possession back. And, I mean, like you mentioned, Dave, 3 points off the timeouts. One of those would certainly help the Cougars break out of that right now.
No doubt about it. Hopefully that wasn't an announcer jinx on my behalf.
Well, Taya Satina will hope that you did jinx it as she heads back to serve. Satina over. Hunt receives. Goncalves sets for Cooper. Floater! Almonte gets it over. Goncalves sets Foster. Deflected out of bounds by the block. Neva Foster. A nice shot, and the Cougars bring it back within one, 17-18.
You know, Jonathan, I'm typically against the concept of absolutes in sports, but it truly feels like one of those tonight.
Harmony Cooper back to serve for Concordia. Gets that down! No one watching the front court for Lake Forest, and it's an ace for Cooper. We're evened up at 18-18. Cooper looking to continue the run. Up, over. Almonte receives. And it's a poor pass, and it's miscommunication from Lake Forest. They try to get their setter to it, but Satina just can't get there in time. Has to go on the opposite end of the court. Back to back for Harmony Cooper as the Cougars are back in front by one. Over. Satina passing for Wilson. At set for Foster. Blocked at the line. Quevedo keeps it up. Goncalves just pushes it over. Satina sets Oshenaika. Miscommunication, but the Cougs stay alive. Blocked by Oshenaika. Back even at 19.
Yeah, it'll be a match to 6 for this set. Can't begin to explain the importance of winning this third set to go up 2-1. Makes it so much easier to win the match.
Foster receives back. Wraithel just has to pass up for Foster. Way too much on it. Neva Foster just struggling on the serve receive right now. You don't want those receptions to go backwards, and that's how it's been over on the left side for CUC. Wilson sends it over. Livesey has to pick up the reception. That's set up for Oshenaika! Blocked out of bounds. It's a 2-point lead for Lake Forest. And again, awkward serve receive sets up a poor possession for the Cougars. And Coach Palmer is going to want to figure things out.
Yeah, Cougars just a little bit out of control in these last few points. Just got to collect their bearings once again, recollect and kind of bounce back, put yourselves in a spot to come back from down 2 and try to take over this set.
I mean, this is the same position the Cougars were in their last time out. They want a similar result. They want to get that lead back straight out of the timeout. As Concordia looks to get things figured out. Coach Palmer talking with his assistants, figuring out the adjustments they want to make, and then he heads over to his squad. Lake Forest feeling good right now. They're 4 points away from taking set number 2.
So if Lake Forest were to burn their last timeout at this point, would they receive the point then based on that absolute that we've been working on so far?
Do you want Will Melanie Hughes see that as an absolute and break that out if they get to 24?
That might be the method at this point.
Cougars looking to have that work in their favor out of the timeout. Wilson back to serve again. Up and over. Livesey receives. Adler taps it. It's a lift, tagged on Van Stone. A nice tapper off of the iffy reception from Livesey. And the Cougs continue the absolute. They're back within 1.
I mean, I might have to start making a shirt for death taxes and whoever calls a timeout is scoring the next point.
Adler over, Almonte to Satina, Van Stone. Cougars keep it alive. Wilson up to Satina. Oshenaika just has to flip it over. Adler sets Foster out of bounds. Point over to Lake Forest. They take it back. They're within 3. 22-20. Almonte back to the serve. She's struggled from the service line so far tonight. She gets it over. Foster. Poor reception again, and it's down. 3-point lead for Lake Forest.
It's a huge ace right there, really taking the pressure off right there.
Now Cougs very much on the back foot again. Almonte up. Livesey receives. Adler sets. Brenner. Almonte can't receive cleanly. Point Cougars, and a kill for Rosemary Brenner. Back within 2. Cougs take possession back. They want a bit of a run here. They've still got 1 point of breathing room. Brenner tosses it up, gets it over. Satina gets the set straight into the face of Bethany Wraithel. That's a kill for Sadie Fry. Point over to Lake Forest, and now the Foresters at set point. Lily Robinson back for the serve. Over. Wraithel receives. Adler puts it up. Goncalves just sends it over. Blocked at the line and back over. Almonte passing for Van Stone, blocks, Dirksen, Robinson, Van Stone again, tipped, Adler keeps it up, Quevedo tips it, Livesey puts it up, here's Adler, sets Livesey, that's blocked and down, Livesey with the kill, Cougs take it back, and they keep life. It's 1 point at a time, but this time the Cougs only need 2 to force extra volleyball. Cooper coming into the game for Quevedo. Rathel back for the serve. Tosses up. Gets it over. Robinson sets Van Stone. Rathel. Adler looking Hunt. How about that power? Rathel. Adler. Hunt again. That one's down! Can't stop the hot sauce, and the Cougs are within 1.
Couple big swings right there by the senior Lily Hunt. Really taking care of the business right there.
And Dave, what are we talking about? The absolute. Will Melanie Hughes called the timeout at 24. Well, she has. And she'd love for that absolute to come through. I mean, let's apply the scientific method to this. You make a hypothesis, you experiment. We've experimented. Now it's all about, do you think that sample data size is big enough to come to a conclusion?
I mean, as the Concordia homer I am, you really hope not. I mean, you have the ever reliable server at the line, Bethany Rathel, but I mean, so far today, it really does look like it's been an absolute. So I guess we'll have to see. Gonna have to wait 28 seconds longer to see what we're gonna get out of it. But you never know, Jonathan.
We say in that STEM field, we look at a proof. All it takes is one counter example to prove a proposition false. Cougs are looking to be that counter example. Rathel will serve. You get 1 point, you force extra volleyball. Rathel tosses up, sends it over. Robinson sets Dirksen. Adler going to Livesey, a tapper. And they're gonna get Lake Forest with the net violation. Well, there's your counter example.
Cancel the t-shirts, Jonathan. I might have put the order in, but I haven't paid the money, so we're fine.
We're getting extra volleyball for set number 3. Rathel sends it across. Robinson setting Fry. Now Rathel puts that up for Hunt. Hammer. Hunt to Adler, setting Livesey. Dirksen sends it over. Nobody's there. Points, Lake Forest. Brenner can't get under it. And the Foresters have it back at set point. It's Van Stone back for the serve.
Backs against the wall here for CUC. No other option but to win this service eve.
Here's set point. Over. Livesey receives. Adler setting for nobody as she puts her holds her head in her hands. And it's a costly mistake for Concordia. They fall in set number 3, 26-24. Lake Forest after, an abysmal first set, take a 2-1 set lead, and they push Concordia onto the back foot as these two squads will switch sides and take a break. We'll take a break here on the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a minute for more volleyball action. Welcome back to the Cougar Sports Network. We're here in Geisman Gymnasium for set number 4 of tonight's match between the Lake Forest Foresters and the Concordia Chicago Cougars. Back to serve for the Foresters to get things going is Lily Robinson. Livesey receives. Adler sets up Day. Can't place it better. Coast to the back corner. The Cougs strike first. And that breaks the trend we've seen all night. First time tonight the Cougars have scored first in a set. One to nothing lead for Concordia. Day sends it across. Almonte, poor reception into the bench. And it's a 2-0 lead for the Cougs. I mean, that's a start you like to see after a heartbreaking set number 3.
Absolutely. Just quick bounce back. Go right back at it. If you're CUC, you really want a carefree, or less stress on this set just to get yourself feeling confident for that 5th set.
Adler sets Hunt. Almonte setting for Van Stone. Out the back line. Point Cougs. 3-0 run to start the set. Cougars playing clean. Lake Forest struggling to keep up. You look back to set number 3. Pretty even statistics from these squads. Even hitting percentages, even errors, 6 or 7 from both squads. And the Cougars, though, cleaner to start the set number 3 as Wilson. I mean, you just have to send that over. That's a free hit over. That's all you got to do, and she sends it into the net.
Yeah, that might be one of those situations where it's just a little too cocky, a little bit of arrogance potentially. And now they're starting to pile up right now. This was kind of what we saw in that first set, where they just kind of rolled out of bed, not really ready to go.
I mean, Ireland Van Stone, she's been making those plays last 2 sets consistently and just stepping out of the way of it. Day sends it over, and now it's a rotation error. Tagged on Lake Forest. Coach Hughes wants to know where it is. 6-point lead for CUC. If you're Melanie Hughes, even if you disagree with the call, which she does disagree with the call, even if you don't, this is when you start looking into a timeout, because a 6-0 slide to start a set is bad news. You're putting your team's falling into a pretty tough hole to dig out of. But yeah, Melanie Hughes not happy with the call. Hoping to fire her team up a little bit. Wilson receives. Robinson sets for Dirksen. Well, they get it there. Point back over to the Foresters. And it's 6-1, Lake Cougars.
The Foresters able to get back on the board here in this 4th set. One of the things that you're seeing, though, is out of those 6 points, CUC probably only earned 2 to 3 of them.
Rathel, poor reception straight back across. Dirksen, right side! And these 2 points coming from Rio Dirksen. They're able to set her up on offense, and that's what they need to do on Lake Forest. It's when they're most successful, when they're able to get her going on the edges. As Van Stone serves it over again. Rathel to Adler, sets Cooper. Rathel again. Adler again. This time sets Livesey straight into the net. 3-point run for Lake Forest. They're back within 3. Van Stone sends it across. Poor reception from Rathel. 4 in a row for Lake Forest. Hughes loving this from her squad. The Cougars, they played clean to start. They're playing sloppy now.
Yeah, that was just one of those lollipops. You just handed it to them, almost like their setter gave them that one.
Van Stone over. Cooper to Adler. Sets Hunt. A tapper, and it's down. Perfectly placed ball to break the slide. And the Cougs take possession back. Cooper will head back to serve. Seven to 4 Concordia as Cooper sends it over. Van Stone receives. Dirksen just has to pass it across. Hunt to Adler. Sets up Livesey. Almonte receives. Setting for Dirksen. Blocked at the line. Wilson gets it across. Cooper, poor pass. Okay, Votto passes it across. That's set for Wilson. Off the pin, point Concordia. Tough set back and forth between these two squads. And the first mistake comes from Lake Forest. 4-point lead for Concordia. Cooper continues to serve. Over. Almonte receives. Robinson sets Wilson. Blocked at the line, but no one's going to pick it up. Back over to Lake Forest. 8-5, Concordia, Chicago, 3-point deficit as Maddie Smith heads back for the serve. Day to Adler, sets Livesey, blocked out of bounds. Cougs take it right back, second kill of the night for Livesey as Lily Hunt will head back for the serve. Fitzgerald sets Oshanika, Hunt straight back across. Livesey keeps it up. Adler setting Hunt. Now Dirksen from the right side. Another one. Rio Dirksen, the freshman out of the British Columbia with her 13th kill of the night. It's back to a 3-point deficit. These two squads trading points.
Yeah, that 6'1" freshman has really been the saving grace for Lake Forest today.
I mean, you look at, you can't teach height, and that's matchup over on the near side. The 6'1" Rio Dirksen going up against, on the Cougars' end, the 5'5" Rachel Livesey.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one.
You can't coach out an 8-inch height difference.
Yeah, 8-inch height is a big difference.
That is a big difference. Dirksen exploiting it. 13 kills on the night already for the freshman, but she's off the court now as Taya Satina heads back for the serve. Gets it over, Livesey. Iffy reception, Adler! How about that? Get up there and push it right back. Lake Forest can't capitalize on the mistake. Milena Adler, a nice play to pick up her teammates. And Livesey will head back for the serve.
Yeah, it can take so much stress off the front line when you're able to get your setter in on the action on offense.
Wilson all the way across. And we're back within 3. We're trading points back, forth, back, forth. It's 10-7 Concordia as Wilson heads back for the serve. Wilson across, Rathel to Adler, passing up for Day. Poor reception from Van Stone. That's a tough one to play. Van Stone just has to send it across. That's a home field advantage coming in for Concordia as Geisman picks up a point for the Cougs.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one to play it off the speakers and the banners up there.
Sent over by Rathel. Satina passing to Van Stone, blocked at the line. Cooper puts it over. Van Stone blocked again, kept up by Day. Cooper finds the gap! It's all Harmony Cooper on that point, and the Cougs are up by 5. A 12-7 lead as Rathel sends it across. Satina sets for Silvich. Livesey pulls off of it, out the back line, point Concordia. Rathel cross. Satina setting up Stone. Van Stone finds the gap, stops the bleeding, and it's back over to the Foresters. Almonte back into the game for the serve. Almonte across. Day deflects it straight down. It's an ace for Almonte.
Yeah, really good float right there. See if she can keep that up again right now.
13-9 lead for the Cougs. Almonte sends it over. Day receives. Adler passes over to Day. Satina sets up Van Stone. Hunt. Adler. Here's Cooper. Just pushes it over. Now Almonte passing over for Van Stone. Blocked at the line! And it's a net double touch violation. Tagged on, I believe, Sekulic. And the point goes over to the Cougs. 14-9. Concordia as Adler heads back for the serve. Adler across. Poor reception. Van Stone into the net.
Just a lot of moving parts right there on that one.
And there's our first timeout of the set. Melanie Hughes trying to let her team work themselves out of the hole as much as she can, but they just can't bring it back even. And with a 6-point gap, she'll try to take a break. We'll take a break here on the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back to the Cougar Sports Network. It's set number 4 between Concordia, Chicago, and Lake Forest. Cougars leading 15-9 so far in set number 4. Milena Adler back to serve again for CUC. And she'll send it over. Almonte to Satina to Van Stone. Rathel receives it straight back across. Fry to Satina. Over to Van Stone again. Floater to Adler. Rathel passing up for Hunt. Nice reception from Satina. Wilson over to Van Stone. Third time, not the charm. Adler sets Day! And Wilson sidesteps it. It's down for a kill for India Day. And we found our counter example to the timeout equals 1 point proposition in set number 3. And the Cougars continue to provide more in set number 4.
Yeah, just truly solidifying the null hypothesis there.
Now the run still rolling for CUC out the back line. It's now an 8-point lead, 17-9. Adler continuing the serve. Over. Ace! Wilson can't receive cleanly, placed perfectly in the middle of the court. Hughes. She sees the bleeding. She wants to stop it before they lose a limb. It's a 9-point lead for Concordia. CUC on a roll in set number 4. And you look at the cleanliness of play, minimizing errors, capitalizing on your opponents. Cougars doing a great job of that so far. Lake Forest, not as bad as set number 1, but they're still not playing as clean as they want to be.
Definitely. I think one of the things you're seeing as well is just the overall kind of multiplying of errors. When they make one, you know there's going to be 2 or 3 more coming, at least in this set so far. They got to find a way to minimize the mistakes, and when they make them, they can't allow them to turn into, make a mountain out of a molehill. Excuse me.
All right, out of the timeout, Cougars continue to run. Adler serves it across. Fry passing over to Van Stone from range. Adler sets Hunt. That's down. Lily Hunt picks up kill number 7. And the Cougars have a 10-point lead. It's 19-9. Concordia on now a 6-0 scoring run in set number 4. I mean, after a heartbreaker of a set number 3, this is how you respond.
Absolutely. That's one of the things I mentioned earlier at the start of the set. To really put yourself in a strong spot to win that 5th set, you really just wanted that very easy, stress-free set 4 victory. And right now they're putting themselves in a position to do just that.
Blocked at the line. Dirksen over to Van Stone. Blocked again. Cougs can't keep it up. Lake Forest stops the bleeding, and they crack double digits. It's 19-10. And Van Stone has been getting a lot of action on the far side. 6 kills, 11 errors, 37 total attempts so far. Hitting percentage not great at a negative 13.5, but she's still getting fed the ball as India Day drops the hammer. Robinson keeps it up. Hunt to Adler to Cooper straight away. It's 20-10. Harmony Cooper having a great set number 4.
Yeah, Adler also aware of when to feed her middles at the right time, and right there, perfect timing.
Day sends it over. Van Stone to Robinson, sets Dirksen straight into the net. You fed your best option. And she makes an error. 9th error of the set for Lake Forest. There's your difference maker. 9 errors so far in set number 4 for the Foresters. Just 1 for Concordia Chicago. Robinson sets Fry, a tapper. Adler keeps it up. Can't get out of the way. Point Lake Forest. 21-11. They bring it back within 10 as Van Stone heads back for the serve. Up, over. Rathel receives, Adler sets that for Hunt. Blocked, Rathel, Adler, Hunt. Almonte, Robinson sets Dirksen. Adler gets it up. Rathel passing for Livesey. Almonte, Robinson, Wilson just floats it, slapped down by Cooper. This is Wilson again. Back line, Day to Adler, setting Livesey. Robinson over to Wilson, looking to finish it. Can't do it. Day, Adler, Hunt. Still going, Dirksen into the net and blocked down by Cooper.
Yeah, good rally from both parties right there, but you didn't really see anybody going for that absolute sledgehammer finisher until that last one. You see why right there.
22-11. CUC, 3 to go as Cooper heads back for the serve. Led a big run earlier in this set. Sends it over. Almonte receives. Robinson puts it up for Dirksen. The hammer, but Day receives. Livesey straight to Almonte. That's set for Dirksen again. A floater just over the net. Adler over to Hunt. Can't receive cleanly. Dirksen backs off as she goes to the bench. And it's 12-point lead for the Cougars. And yeah, down by 12 is not the time to sell out and dive into the bleachers and risk injury.
I don't know, Jonathan. It really depends on that love of the game. You could totally see one of those, but I totally agree with your headspace on that one.
Straight across, it's an ace! One of those lucky serves. You get into the net, and you can't get more into the net and still get it over than that. Harmony Cooper brings the Cougs within 1. Cooper up, over. Almonte, Robinson, over to Dirksen. Blocked and out off of Livesey. Point over to Lake Forest. So they keep it alive. And it will not be a second 25-11 set of the day. It'll be at set point for the remainder of the set. Lake Forest, they want to stay in it. They got to rattle off 12 straight.
Yeah, Maddie Smith is going to have to go on quite a run.
Day to Adler, over to Hunt. Robinson, she's looking for Dirksen. And she gets through the block for a kill. 2 straight for Rio Dirksen, makes it 15 on the night. And it's an 11-point game. Smith will serve again. Up and over. Day receives low. Hunt keeps it up. Quevedo pushes it over. Robinson to Wilson. Powers that through. Day deflects it out the back line. 3 straight for the Foresters. It's a 10-point game, 24-14. I mean, it's a run. He's still got 10 to go, and the Cougars plenty of breathing room to reel it back in.
Yeah, I was going to say the law of averages, you would just assume that Foresters will eventually make a mistake on their own, but they don't need to after that one.
Lily Hunt places it right on the line. Cougs come back with a vengeance in set number 4. They take it 25-14, a big set. And we're getting set number 5 here in River Forest. Bonus volleyball coming up on the Cougar Sports Network in just a couple minutes. Welcome back to River Forest as we get ready to go for bonus volleyball. It's set number 5 of tonight's match between the Lake Forest Foresters and the Concordia Chicago Cougars. Cougars won set 1 in dominant fashion, 25-11. Dropped sets 2 and 3, 25-21 in set number 2, 26-24 in set number 3, and then rattle off another dominant set for number 4, 25-14 win. Then they look to stay dominant as Lake Forest gets ready to serve it off to start the final set. Day receives, Adler sets Day. A tapper blocks down by Dirksen. That's the wrong person you want to be sending a tapper to.
Absolutely. And the situation right now with set 5 is somebody's got to grab the momentum real quick, and whoever does is probably going to come out on top.
Let us say, poor reception, straight back across. Cougars can't get it over. 2 off rip. For Lake Forest, you mentioned it's that early lead. This is a sprint to the finish. First to 15 wins in set number 5. Robinson will continue to serve. Over. Day receives. Adler sets that up for Day. Robinson setting Dirksen down! Finds the gap and powers through. 3 straight to start for Lake Forest. And they're feeding their number 1 option. And yeah, Coach Palmer does not want it to get out of hand. Calls a timeout at 3-0.
The main thing is with the emotions building up and all that angst and anxiety, stress, everything coming through, the happiness, all of it in this match. The last thing you want is a little bit of frustration at the start of set 5 to be the difference in this contest. So smart play to kind of call a timeout right now, get everybody that breather. Standard practice in the timeout. Good idea to call it early rather than when it's 6-1 or 7-1. So get out in front of it right now. Good idea.
And you see Lake Forest not standing on the sideline really at all. They want the momentum to keep going. They don't want to risk losing that. As the Cougars get their break on the sideline, Coach Palmer heads over to talk to his squad with 20 seconds left in the timeout. See if he can get them back on track. Now, this is when the Cougars would love for that failed proposition to come back through. They'd love to get the point off the timeout right now.
I mean, we just have to adjust the hypothesis, I think, because so far, every time Coach Palmer has called a timeout, his team has won that respective point.
So it's now the Palmer proposition as Robin sends it across. Iffy reception from Livesey Wrathel. And Livesey just has to send it over. Barely gets over. Robinson sets Dirksen. Blocks down! Day and Cooper get up there! And the Palmer proposition holds true. It's 3-1 as Day heads back for the serve.
I like the idea of Palmer proposition on a shirt way more than death taxes anyways. There's too many of those out there.
Day over, it's an ace! They've got the heat out of the timeout. Poor reception from Almonte. It's 3-2.
And just like that, the momentum was completely flip-flopped.
Day, up, over. Robinson sets it over to Fry, a floater. Now Wrathel sets it to Hunt. From mid-range, tipped. Robinson setting Fry again. Wrathel just slaps it across. And that actually works out nicely. That's set for Dirksen, a floater. Kept up by Day. Adler back to Hunt. Slam down, point Cougars! Lily Hunt just overpowers Rio Dirksen. And we're even at 3. India Day continues to serve. Straight over, poor reception. Livesey passes up to Adler. Sets for Cooper. That's set for Dirksen. Blocks down again. Dirksen, second chance, sends back line. And they'll call a net violation on Cooper. So the point goes over to Lake Forest. Coach Palmer inquires about the call. And Lake Forest has their lead back at 4-3. Van Stone tosses, sends it over. Just on the back line. Cougars take a gamble. It doesn't pay off. It's back to a 2-point lead for Lake Forest. LaCourtier, they fought from behind in sets 2 and 3. Couldn't get over the top. They're going to have to do it again in set number 5. Day receives. Adler puts it up. Cougars can't keep it up. Miscommunication kills them. And it's a 6-3 set. We're trading 3, 3, and 3 so far in set number 5.
CUC is going to have to make an adjustment real quick. Can't afford to let this one get too much farther out of hand.
Van Stone into the net. That's the break you want to get. Service error from Lake Forest. And at the rate they've been committing those this year, they've kept them down so far tonight, but they give the Cougars one there. Harmony Cooper, she's had a great night from the service line so far. She'll look to continue it.
That's just one of those things that's going to happen. Your true colors are bound to pop out at some point.
The dump off. Cougars play defense nicely. Almonte to Robinson. Sets up for Dirksen. 8 kill, 18 for the freshman. It's back to a 3-point lead. It's not much you can do against Rio Dirksen on the front line when she connects like she wants to. And the Cougars just have to hope they can push the rotations around to get her off the court.
Yeah, truly so much power behind those swings.
Smith back for the serve, puts it up and over. Day bad reception. It's an ace for Maddie Smith, and it's an 8-4 lead, Lake Forest. And as we reach 8 points, we'll switch sides of the court. Cougars trailing by 4. As they swap sides, they'll hope the side swap can give them some point swaps. The Cougars need a run as they've given up four straight. Rosemary Brenner subs into the game for India Day. Coach Palmer trying to get some stronger defenders on the back line.
Yeah, they'll take that side switch as a mini breather. Not quite a timeout, but they'll take the little bit of a breather.
Brenner to Livesey. Raythel just shoves it across. That's set up for Dirksen. Cougars keep it up. Adler sets for Hunt. That's what you need! Lily Hunt just breaking out the cannon at the line so far. And she brings it back within 3.
Cougars could use a little run right here from their senior.
Up, over. Van Stone. Poor set. And that's over the net. Violation tagged on, I believe, Wilson. Coach Hughes does not like the call. But the Cougars catch a break and they get the point. You gotta respect it from the coach. You gotta inquire about every call that doesn't go your way, especially in a close game. As Oshanika just tries to bring out the cannon, sends it over. Oshanika, she's been great in the blocking game. She's been great when there's poor balls sent over. She's struggled when it comes to kill shots of her own so far, however.
Absolutely, Jonathan.
1 point game. Hunt gets it over. Smith, iffy reception. Robinson passes up for Wilson. Kept up by Brenner. Passed over to Livesey, who sends it across. That's set for Dirksen. Kept up by Brenner. Adler to Livesey. Smith keeps it up. That's pass. Mid-ranger for Wilson. Raythel. Adler. Livesey. Floater. Back on the Cougs. Adler passing for Livesey. Power shot. Kept up. Wilson. Robinson. Dirksen. Cougs keep it up. Livesey passes it over. Robinson sets for Oshanika. Try to get the quick shot. Can't do it. Quevedo. Adler. Livesey. That's blocked. And on the line. Tough bounce for Concordia. And Lake Forest takes the lead. That right side matchup just killing the Cougars. And force the next rotation. Dirksen will be on the back row.
Yeah, just truly a nightmare matchup for anybody in the trenches at that front line.
Dirksen tosses up, sends it across. Livesey to Adler. Livesey is going to send it over. Robinson setting for Wilson. And that's coming over to us, Dave. It's back to a 3-point lead for Lake Forest, and Coach Palmer wants his last time out. Cougars, they're coming close, but they just can't stay hot enough to get over the hump.
Cougars could really go for a Palmer proposition stamp on this one, trying to ice that freshman who's had such a tremendous game so far.
Yeah, 18 kills for Rio Dirksen, exploiting that height advantage she has on the near side. Height advantage you have against most teams.
Yeah, Dirksen has truly been just the entire saving grace for Lake Forest all day long. Kind of that entire offense flows through her, and when she's not in that front line, it's kind of just picking and choosing who you want, but when she's up there, it truly is completely ran through her.
Lake Forest already back out on the court. They want that momentum to stay with them. Cougars head back out onto the court. They're going to try and hope the Palmer proposition comes through, and they pick up a point off the serve. Eva Foster back into the game for the first time since set number 3. And there's an error from Rio Dirksen. I see you putting that stamp down, Dave.
Absolutely. Somebody has to do it. Forget the shirts. We're all getting stamps.
And that's a break for the Cougars because look who's off the court. Rio Dirksen. That's what they needed as Livesey comes back into the game for Foster to serve as Palmer tried to play matchups for the last point there. Didn't need to. 2-point deficit for Concordia. Livesey sends it away. Robinson sets for Wilson. It's an error out the back line, and the Cougars back within 1. They've come close again and again and again. Concordia got to get over the hump now.
Cougars are going to have to find a way to prevail now.
Livesey tosses it up. Robinson sets for Oshanika. Kept up. Adler passing for Day. Floater. Set for Wilson. Blocked, and point goes to Lake Forest. Powered down on the Cougars. It's back to a 2-point game. 2-point lead for the Foresters. They're 4 away from 15.
A big swing right there from Winston to get them back that serve.
Serves up, serves over. Day receives. Adler setting for Day. Blocked. Hunt. Adler. Day again. Tapper kept up. Adler. Here's Hunt. Mid-ranger. That's for Oshanika. Tipped. Livesey sends it straight back over. Oshanika. Hunt. Adler. Here's Day. Third time's the charm. The freshman comes through. India Day, kill number 9. And it's 11-10. Cooper back into the game for Quevedo. Wraithel back to serve. Over. Robinson, dump off. Wraithel's there. Adler keeps it up. Hunt's going to have to just pass it across. Almonte to Robinson. Sets Van Stone. Livesey. Adler, a slammer. Hunt. Adler sets for Day. Can't get that one down. Robinson looking for Van Stone. Floater kept up by Hunt. Dump off again! Melena Adler gets it done. We're knotted up at 11. And Melanie Hughes wants a timeout. The Cougars claw back even.
Adler waits till the 5th set to break out that bag of tricks right there. No better time to even it up at 11.
Yeah, and Lily Hunt, usually Coach Palmer, you take her off the court on the back end. It's probably the weakest part of her game, but she can play there. Injuries, matchups, they've been playing her on the back line. She played very well on the back row those last couple points.
Absolutely, Jonathan. I think one of the things you're seeing from Coach Palmer in his mind is probably, at the end of the day, that's one of his captains, if not his only captain. And I think one of the things you're seeing is, at the end of the day, it's the 5th set. I want my dogs on the court when it matters most. And that's kind of the approach I assume he's taken with that.
So last 2 timeouts we've seen from Coach Hughes, they resulted in a point for Concordia. So we want to play those timeout trackers. That's where we're at with this one. Lake Forest would love to get that timeout, those timeout points back on their side. Cougars want the momentum to stay with them. It's Wraithel continuing to serve. She'll toss it up, send it over. Robinson sets up Wilson. Hunt receives. Adler sets for Day. Floater. Robinson. Van Stone. Livesey receives. Hunt. Passing. Someone's got to get there. And the Cougars. Lily Robinson going to run at the line. Wraithel. Hunt. Livesey just has to pass it over. Robinson sets for Dirksen. Who else to finish it? And Lake Forest comes from behind to pick up a 15-13 win in set number 5. They win the match 3-2. Tough win for the Foresters. Tough break and loss for the Cougars as Drops of Jupiter comes over the speakers through Geisman Gymnasium for the first time this year. Cougs lose 3-2 here on Thursday night.
Yeah, Jonathan, I got 2 words. Rio Dirksen. I mean, wow. Have a night. I mean, one of those fantastic games that you have to assume is going to be one of many for her illustrious career that seems to be inbound. I mean, 19 kills, just including that last one to be the dagger for the Cougars right there. Just really strong performance from her. And you have to assume that the Cougs on their end have to take something out of this. There's obviously a few bright spots, that willingness to keep competing along the way the whole time, but obviously just not able to get that final bit that you want to see on the scoreboard.
Yeah, Cougars come close, but come short. Rio Dirksen, 19 kills on the night with a 273 hitting percentage. She struggled with errors on the year, so a positive sign for the freshman, Megan Winston, 10 kills to bring it up behind for Lake Forest. Over on the Cougars end, Lily Hunt leading the squad with 12 kills. India Day second with 9. Great game from Hunt, just not enough. I mean, it's boom and bust for Lake Forest. That's the way they're going to try and win this year. 38 errors tonight for the Foresters. They still come out on top. Cougars 44 kills, 20 errors, and a 167 hitting percentage. A tough loss for Concordia Chicago here at home. Cougars, they move on from here. They get a break close to a week. They're back in action next Wednesday as they start up in action. They head out to Rockford, Illinois to take on the Rockford Regents. Startup conference play before they get a non-con tune-up with the Alma College Invitational. Lake Forest, they do get a week-long break. They're back in action September 26th for the Wisconsin Lutheran Tri. They start off by taking on University of Wisconsin lacrosse as Cougars fall to 3-7 on the year. Lake Forest falls to moves up to 2-6 on the year. Good news for the Cougars, it's non-con, and so far the games don't count towards your conference record, as the Cougars try and tune up before they get into NAC play.
Yeah, I think one of the main things you got to think about if you're the Cougs right now, it's no doubt that that's not the start you wanted to the season. Of course, everybody wants to start off 10-0, but the most important thing is the one record that matters is 0-0.
Yeah.
0-0 is all that matters right now. NAC play has not started yet. I mean, they can still just completely dominate through NAC play and just completely flip the script on this season so far. So just got to have to keep that positive mentality in that locker room, bounce back, and get things done on Wednesday against Rockford.
Absolutely. Concordia Chicago, they've got a favorable matchup to start their conference play with Rockford. So we'll see the Cougars in action this next Wednesday on the road. You can follow all the action and get all the information you need for that at CUCougars.com. Us here on the Cougar Sports Network, we're back in action this Saturday. It's time for some football in action here in River Forest. Concordia Chicago football taking on the St. Norbert's Green Knights out at Concordia Stadium. All of that action will be here on the Cougar Sports Network and CUCougars.com, so make sure to tune in for that. But that'll do it for tonight on the Cougar Sports Network. Thank you to everyone who made this broadcast possible. Thanks you for joining in. As always, I'm Jonathan Shear with the Cougar Sports Network. Joining me tonight was Dave Daimling. And as per usual, roll Cougs.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Concordia University Chicago Cougars Athletics broadcast. We hope to see you on campus very soon. If you would like to learn more about what Concordia Chicago has to offer, go to cuchicago.edu.